Hello, and a very warm welcome. Peace to all the listeners of Akal. Today's video is not just another explanation. It's something that may completely shift how you see the Quran. We are going to talk about Lat, Manat, and Uzza. Now, for a long time, because of weak and surface-level translations, this incredibly deep book, the Quran, has been reduced to a historical story. And because of that, in today's world, especially on social media where research is easy, it faces a lot of criticism. Most people are told that Lat, Manat and Uzza were just ancient Arabian goddesses connected to the Quraysh, something from the past, something finished. But is that really true, or are we missing something much deeper? So here's what we're going to do. First, we will show you the traditional understanding, exactly as it has been presented. Then, we will look at the criticisms, openly, honestly, the same questions people are asking today. And after that, we will take you into a different direction, a deeper one. We will explore what Lat, Manat, and Uzza actually mean in your life, right now. So stay with us till the end, because this is not just about understanding a verse. This is about understanding yourself.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أفرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى. Have you considered alat and al-uzuza and Manat, the third, the other one?
Now, think about this for a second. If this is the traditional understanding, then why does this verse get so much criticism today? People ask, if Islam is strictly about one God, then why does the Quran even mention daughters of God? And then critics say, these names, Lat, Uzza, Manat, they sound like mythology, like something taken straight from ancient Arabia. And honestly, they push it further. They say, if this is supposed to be a universal book, why is it talking about forgotten desert idols? And some even mock it. You rejected idols, but you're still talking about them. So now the real question is the Quran just responding to history, or have we been reading it the wrong way this whole time? Before we go further, let's pause for a moment. What does the Quran actually say? Not what people say about it, not what critics assume, but what the text itself presents.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أفرأيتم اللات والعزى. So have you truly reflected upon alat and al-uzuza ومناة الثالثة الأخرى and Manat, the third, the final state, where desire turns into delay, and the self lives in wishful thinking instead of action.
When the Quran says, have you reflected upon Alat, al-Uzza and Manat, it is not asking you to look outside, it is asking you to look within. Because these are not idols of stone, they are idols of the self. Let us begin with Alat. Many early scholars, including Ibn Abbas, traced Alat to the root lam tit tit or lam wow, a root that carries the meaning of mixing, kneading, blending something together. From this comes the sense of taking something pure and altering it. Psychologically, alat is when you mix truth with falsehood to protect yourself. You know the truth, but you adjust it, you soften it, you reshape it. Not because you don't know, but because you don't want to face it. Over time, it becomes a pattern, a habit, even an addiction. Interestingly, the Urdu word lat is also used for a bad habit, something a person keeps repeating, because the distortion becomes familiar. This is not simple lying, it is deeper than that. It is when a person begins to believe their own version of reality. They create stories, justify actions, and project an identity that is not real. In essence, alat is comfort over truth, a veil where illusion replaces growth. Now look at al-uzuza. Its root is ain zazer, a root of power, might, and intensity, something strong, something difficult to resist. But inwardly, this strength transforms. It becomes ego. The self begins to feel elevated, important, untouchable. You gain something, knowledge, attention, influence, and slowly you begin to identify with it. You want recognition. You want control. You want validation. You resist being questioned. You resist being challenged. This is where power turns into self-worship. Psychologically, this reflects narcissistic behavior, a constant need for admiration, a sense of superiority, a lack of empathy, and beneath it, a hidden fragility. Al-uzuza is not power itself. Power is not the problem. The problem begins when the self becomes the center of that power. In essence, al-uzuza is strength without humility. And then comes manat, from the root mim nun ya, a root connected to desire, wish, longing, expectation. From it comes words like umniya, meaning hope, aspiration, imagination. But here something shifts. This desire does not lead to action. It leads to delay. Manat is the self that lives in wishful thinking. It projects a future but avoids the present. One day I will change. One day I will act. One day everything will align. But nothing moves. Because instead of facing reality, the person retreats into imagination. Now notice the phrase the third, al-thalitha, from the root thalath, meaning third. But here it is not just a number, it is a stage, a constructed layer of the self. When a person lives between truth and perception, a third layer is created: interpretations, excuses, narratives, imagined meanings. It is no longer pure truth, and it is no longer pure illusion. It becomes a mixture, a confused state. And in that state, a person cannot rise. This is why manat becomes the most dangerous, because it finalizes the pattern. First comes distortion, alat. Then comes ego, al-uzuza. Then comes delay, manat. And now the self is trapped, layered, heavy, conditioned. So these are not gods, they are veils. Alat distorts your truth. Al-uzuza inflates yourself. Manat delays your action. The Quran is not asking you to deny something outside. It is asking you to recognize something inside. Because in reality, a human being does not worship stone. He worships what he creates within his own mind. And the moment you see this clearly, the illusion begins to break. Now let us bring this into real life, because these are not concepts, these are patterns you can observe right now. First example, a young student says he wants to succeed. He tells everyone he is serious about his future, but every day he wastes hours scrolling, distracting himself, avoiding his work. When someone questions him, he says, "I study in my own way. I work better under pressure. I know what I'm doing." This is al-lat. He is mixing truth with falsehood to protect his comfort. Slowly, he starts comparing himself to others. He says, "They are not as smart as me. I understand things deeper. They just follow. I think differently." Now this is al-uzuza, a sense of superiority without real substance. And then comes the final stage. "I'll start tomorrow. I just need the right moment. I'll fix everything soon." Days turn into months. Nothing changes. This is manat, wishful thinking, replacing action. Now look at another example. A woman says she loves deeply. She expresses emotion. She cries. She says she cannot live without the person. But she hides the truth. She does not take a real step. She does not align her outer life with what she claims inside. That is alat, a distortion between what is real and what is shown. At the same time, she wants to feel special. She wants to be seen as different, chosen, deeply connected. She becomes emotionally controlling. She cannot afford to lose what gives her identity. That is al-uzuza. And yet, years pass. Nothing becomes real. No decision, no clarity, only words, only promises, only imagination of a future that never arrives. That is Manat. Now pause and reflect. This is how the pattern works. First, you distort the truth. Then you build an ego around it. And finally, you delay action until nothing moves. This is why these three are mentioned together, because they complete a cycle. Al-Lat blinds you. Al-Uzza elevates you falsely. Manat freezes you. And the result is a life that feels real, but never becomes real. So the question is not about the past. The question is now. Where are you mixing truth to stay comfortable? Where are you feeling superior without substance? Where are you delaying what you already know? Because until you answer this honestly, the pattern will continue. And once you see it clearly, you don't need to fight it. You simply stop feeding it. And that is where real change begins. If you have found value in this work and would like to see more, you can support the channel through the link in the bio. Your support helps us continue this research and take this work forward. This work is presented by Ahalakal. For more, visit www.ahalakal.com. You can also find us on YouTube and TikTok. Search for Ahalakal. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share.